It's not about the medicine. It's about the integration after the medicine. It's about the
Yeah.
message that you're going to integrate into your life.
To that point, what's really interesting is that if you think about it from a neuroplasticity and learning perspective, you're temporarily increasing the ability of our brains to learn when we're in with those medicines and with psychedelic states in general. The point is that the psychedelic is agnostic to what you choose to do with it. It's our intention to curate and create an outcome that we want to get from it.
Yeah.
And you can just as easily train yourself to do things that are not good for you better as you can to train yourself to do things that are better for you. The medicine just accelerates it. On its own, you can achieve it, but it requires a lot of work and attention to detail. So having a therapist or a guide is really, really helpful.
Dr. David Rabin is a board-certified psychiatrist, neuroscientist, and co-founder of Apollo Neuroscience, the first wearable clinically proven to improve heart rate variability and stress resilience. A leader in the field of psychedelic-assisted psychotherapy, Dr. Rabin is dedicated to transforming how we treat mental illness. Today, he reveals how we can retrain our nervous systems to achieve balance in a high-stress world.
Yeah, you better. Cause you want this, I want this. Everybody in this, what should have it? Stop illusions, it's in your hands. Show yourself, reveal it to them. Yeah, you better. Take the time to recognize it. You won't leave me even if I tried it. You're the artist, I'm the mess, and happily be found the new in your hands.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Unlimited with Elisabeth Carson. Today I am super excited. I am joined by the great Dr. Dave Rabin. I have been following your work, like I was saying before we began this, for such a long time. I remember when the protocol or something, you had just launched the Apollo Neuro. And I was like one of the very first people to order that. And I literally brought it around the world with me for the next 5 years. I had it on my ankle, and someone thought that was
Me
like an
too.
ankle. Yeah,
Yeah.
they thought it was some sort of like jail device. And I'm like, guys, no, this is the most awesome thing I've ever gotten in my life. So thank you for the work that you do. And I'm just very excited to have you here. So for people who may not know Dr. Rabin, can you tell my following a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Thanks so much for having me, and really appreciate your experience, because we use Apollo for travel all the time, and I think it's at those times when you're transitioning so much that you notice the effects so much more.
Yes.
Because we're so destabilized when we're traveling. We're just like bouncing all over the place, and not in our regular environment. But so I'm a board certified psychiatrist and neuroscientist. I specialize in trauma and addictions, and have spent most of my career focused on chronic stress and understanding the effect of chronic stress on the body and how it can manifest as illness.
Yes.
And then how do we work with stress on a human performance level to accentuate our best features and grow, because we also need stress to grow. So it's a very interesting subject for me. And when I started to work with a lot of people who had treatment-resistant mental illness, I realized that there were opportunities to create technology to serve these people better, like Apollo, and then also to do a better job as a translational neuroscientist, where I really focus on, my passion is around how do we take the complex ideas and the great things we've discovered over the last 100 years in the billions of dollars of research we've spent on neuroscience research, and how do we take that and actually translate it to the general population, and to doctors and to nurses and to everyone everyone ideally, so that we actually change and update the way we live based on what we learn from these discoveries. And, right? That's the way we're supposed to do it, and this way we're told it's happening. But the updates just aren't sticking, or they aren't. There's getting stuck along the way.
Yes.
And so that's a lot of the work I do, is around studying hard to treat mental illnesses, and also exploring new technology and medicine-based techniques, and trying to understand how they work, and the effects they have on the body, and how they get the incredible outcomes that they achieve when used properly.
So, what are your thoughts, Dr. Rabin, on the fact I've done a lot of research on depression meds, SSRIs, and stuff like that, and I've read that 80% of the time, depression medicine it doesn't even work, or it's placebo. So, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it depends what you're using it for,
Mhm.
because SSRIs and many of the other psychiatric medications that we have available are fantastic stabilizers of people who are in unstable phases of mental illness. You know,
Mhm.
think like active suicidality or self-destructive behavior, or not being able to get out of bed, not being able to go to work, not being able to socialize with your family or feed
Mhm.
yourself or bathe, right? Like those are extremes that exist that we don't
Mhm.
see in the general community. People don't see it very often because those people just stay inside and
Yeah.
don't come out. But we
Right.
see it quite often. And in
Mhm.
those cases, the Western psychiatric pharmacopoeia with SSRIs and
Mhm.
benzodiazepines and SNRIs and all the other, antidepressant and mood stabilizing drugs that we have, and even antipsychotics, are really helpful for stabilization. They are not helpful for long-term resolution of the problem that's at the root of the symptoms, right? So
Yes.
it's just symptom control. And
Mhm.
they were meant to be originally prescribed for like a finite amount of time, so like
Mhm.
6 months, 12 months, 18 months, while you're doing psychotherapy, so
Mhm.
that you learn the skills that you need to help you know how to feel better on your own. And then you taper off of the medicine and you're good in many cases. But that doesn't happen most of the time. And so
Mhm.
it gets prescribed chronically, and many people have side effects, and then it gets prescribed to too many people because
Yeah.
it's often prescribed by family doctors first, and who are often not psychiatrically trained.
Mhm.
And then we end up seeing that same stabilizer medicine that's very effective for stabilizing people gets it to people for the wrong, in the wrong use cases, and then it doesn't work. And so in those people, you're correct. Like we see, like, you know 50% of people are responding, generally speaking, and 50% of people don't,
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
can't tolerate the medicine.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, I've seen so many different things with doctors just prescribing this stuff like candy. I just that's why I really appreciated what you created with the Apollo Neuro. I mean, I couldn't believe how much it worked just from a little tiny vibration. Like if you could explain it just for for people that may not have seen it before.
Sure. Yeah. So Apollo is actually a software technology.
Uh-huh.
So it delivers vibration that is bass sound wave frequencies, like the same sound waves that come out of a stand-up bass or a subwoofer, that you
Uh-huh.
feel in your body, because our touch receptors are really sensitive to the sound wave vibration frequencies that bass is. That's why bass feels so good, right?
Mhm.
So so when you're so we basically figured out in the lab at the University of Pittsburgh how to layer bass sound wave vibrations together in such a way that the touch receptors feel it, and it feels like you're getting a hug, or it feels like somebody you like holding your hand, or like going to the beach and feeling ocean waves gently crash next to you, right? Like feeling a purring cat on your body, like those kinds of mom rocking a baby, like those kinds of associations are emotionally hardwired. Those emotional memories are hardwired into the nervous system.
Mhm.
And when you experience soothing touch in the right way, even if it's delivered by technology, you can tap into those positive emotional memories that remind us of safety.
Mm.
And you also increase vagus nerve activity with soothing touch. So the
Yeah.
combination of those things basically helps to, originally we developed it to help with veterans with severe PTSD,
Mhm.
but then in the prototyping phases, my wife and I, who founded the company, were using it every day, all the time, testing it, and it changed our lives. And
Yeah.
we were just like, we were sleeping so much like better and more deeply at night,
Yeah.
despite having crazy work schedules. And I was working like night shifts all the time, and like, and it was just crazy. But we felt great, and we had tons of energy, and we were clear and focused during the days, and we were able to wind down and fall asleep at night. And that regularity surely kept us sane, because life was really nuts back then.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, as soon as I tried it out, I think I was probably in fight or flight because I was like, after about 3 minutes, I was like, I can breathe again. I was like, this is great. Oh my gosh, what is this?
Yeah, it's like, well, and part of it is that our bodies want to be at rest, be
Yeah.
breathing at 5 to 7 breaths per minute.
Mm-hmm.
And that breath rhythm, this is all the stuff that, again, translating discovery, right? Like this is discovered in the 1960s, and everybody should know this, but
Yes.
it's just not well taught.
Yes.
So the 5 to 7 breaths per minute breath rhythm is the rhythm of what we call autonomic balance. That
Mm-hmm.
means balance between your fight or flight sympathetic stress response system
Mm-hmm.
and your sympathetic and your parasympathetic rest and digest, recovery, digestion, immunity, reproduction
Mm-hmm.
response system.
Mm-hmm.
So normally, like you were saying, like your sympathetic nervous system is, like, for most people, not just you, it's
Yeah.
just because of how wild and crazy the world is right now, with how much stimulation we get from smartphones alone, and blue light, and all these technological stimulus around us. We
Mm-hmm.
are constantly having our fight or flight nervous system over activated,
Yeah.
and so we just don't even realize it because we're all living in it every moment of every day, so we just adjust.
Mm-hmm.
But what we realize when we start to breathe back at that 5 to 7 breaths per minute rhythm, which is part of the core rhythm of Apollo, is that it your body starts to naturally go from what it's breathing at in your day to day, which is actually 12 to 24 breaths a minute. So it's more than double what our ideal breath rate is, which of
Uh-huh.
course drives up blood pressure and drives up heart rate and drives
Yes.
up all inflammatory everything in the body.
Uh-huh.
And all we have to do is just breathe at 5 to 7 breaths per minute,
Uh-huh.
almost all the time. That would solve almost all problems. But it
Wow.
takes so much practice to do that,
Yeah.
that it takes like tens of thousands of hours to do it without, just to get to a point where you can do it without having to think about it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Yeah.
so Apollo works in large part by, when you said you felt like taking a deep breath,
Mm-hmm.
again, like that's what it's doing, because it's the rhythm of it. The slow ocean wave like rhythm is regulating of your breath, and our bodies remember that rhythm, just like when we hear a great song when we're out and we can't not dance,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's our heart and lungs do the same thing. So Apollo is the resonance frequency of the heart and lungs, and helps them to come into optimal balance in that way for different energy states that you are trying to achieve.
Gotcha. Yes, yes. How did you come up with the different like oscillations of the vibration? How did you there's some like a happy and open and then there's tired. I mean, how did you like program that into the software?
I mean, so originally the data came from our clinical trials.
Uh-huh.
And so when we first started making these vibration patterns, we were just testing it like all good scientists do. You, like, when you have something safe that you
Mhm.
discover and you want to figure out if it actually works,
Yeah.
you test it on yourself, and then you test it on your friends and family and anybody who's willing. And
Mhm.
then you run studies.
Yeah.
And and so we started to do that, and we started to see consistency between the different vibration patterns, of like blind testing with people, and just being
Mm.
like, tell us how you feel. And that was interesting, and it was consistent with how we felt when we
Mhm.
experienced it. So there was repeatability. and
Gotcha.
then and then from there we went and uh ran clinical trials, and we gave people in a double blind randomized placebo controlled crossover trial,
Uh-huh.
meaning nobody knows what vibration, like vibrations or no vibration condition they're getting.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what they're supposed to do. The researcher doesn't know, and the
Uh-huh.
subject doesn't know.
Uh-huh.
And each subject goes through every single vibration or no vibration condition, and we tested no vibrations. We tested like cell phone vibrations. We tested vibrations that are known to in other areas to calm you down,
Uh-huh.
and we tested all the Apollo vibrations layered in this specific way. And
Uh-huh.
only the Apollo vibrations, number one, increased heart rate variability within 3 minutes,
Incredible.
and which has never been shown before, without having to do anything other than with a vagus nerve stimulator, an
Right.
electrical vagus nerve stimulator. And
Yeah.
then number two, cognitive performance increased by up to 25%, which was really impressive.
Mm.
And we were able to understand because of the blinding, we were able to understand how people rated the vibration patterns
Yeah.
as either like wakeful or sleepy or upsetting or joyful, basically.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And when people had 20 seconds to experience each vibration pattern, they had to rate on that scale.
Mhm.
And we had 80% consistency with
Wow.
20 seconds of experience. So people's like your sense of touch and your and awareness when you're asked to just focus on like what is your body feeling
Yeah.
is actually your Arthur or like a barometer is
Uh-huh.
pretty accurate if we
Wow.
trained it a little bit, right? Or
Yeah.
we had more than 20 seconds of data,
Uh-huh.
we would probably be pretty incredibly intuitive and, harness a lot more of our human potential.
Yeah. Wow. That's like mind blowing. 20 seconds and an 80%. What that's I find this stuff so fascinating because it's like the human body. That's why I talk about the mind, body, energy, right? And I think all three things, like you really have to optimize each individual thing to make sure that you're a whole working piece of human, right? That's what I teach. So I love how this really can like I don't know, it's mind blowing to me. I still, I got to do deeper research on this because wouldn't that be the case then if you set your phone vibration or something, or like is the tones or vibrations of the Apollo Neuro, it seems to be way smaller and like, closer together than like a phone vibration or something.
Yeah, it's very different. And
Yeah.
if anybody who has an iPhone who's listening to this, by the way, last year we released for free the Apollo app to any deliver Apollo vibrations through the iPhone for free.
What?
So if you have
Oh
an iPhone and you're listening to this, you can download the Apollo app right now and just follow the instructions on the screen, and it will tell you within seconds because you'll feel your phone starting to vibrate
man.
as
Uh-huh.
soon as you open the app, and you'll notice that the vibration pattern is very slow, like an ocean wave,
Uh-huh.
and it's much different than a cell phone vibration. It's hard to
Mhm.
describe with words. You really just have to feel it, and
Yeah.
you'll know instantly that this is not like any cell phone vibration you felt before.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like a sound wave, like a
Yeah, it is a
like
sound wave.
yeah, yeah, like
Yeah.
you were saying. Freaking phenomenal. I love it. Yeah, it was definitely something that was like for thinking too. Like at the time, when did you come out with this? When did you
2020,
launch?
2020.
2020. Dang. Okay, so it was like that's what 6 years ago, 5 years ago now.
Yeah, 6 years ago.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, you were like, this is before all of the crazy little devices came out, really. I mean, it was one of the first devices that I ordered actually in the biohacking space. And I was just blown away. And I'm so upset because I lost mine. I'm like, no, I'm talking to you. I need to get another one.
Oh yeah,
no,
don't worry. No, you're good.
they're
We'll make sure to send you one.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, because
Yeah.
they're so effective. I remember I was in Egypt and I think we took about 85 people on a tour out to Egypt, and I had it around my ankle and I was taking a bunch of pictures and they were like, "How can you be out here? You have that thing on your ankle." I was like, "No, it's this device. It's helping me get energy." Like, I mean, I think I walked over 100 miles on
Wow.
these tours of Egypt. So, it's just the energy that it gave me. And then, when your body's all hyped up, it's hard to fall asleep. So I would put it on and put the relaxation mode on and just out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Incredible. It's incredible.
I mean,
So
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
go ahead, go
Thank you.
ahead.
I was just gonna say. I mean, it really speaks to how much we have in common
Yeah.
as human beings, and that like we all have this same like 300 million year old nervous system that
Yeah.
responds to threat and safety the same way. No matter how different we think we are in other ways, we have the core, like, same nervous system. And
Yeah.
that nervous system has the same needs at
Hmm.
baseline. Everything
Hmm.
else that you like, once you have those core needs met, everything else, like safety,
Uh-huh.
everything else is bonus,
Uh-huh.
right? But we have to recognize the common core needs that have to be met so that everything else can be successful and sustainable at the same time.
Right. Right. I'm so glad you're talking about this because one of the main things that I've been talking about is, okay, so there's a huge manifestation fad out. I mean, everybody's talking about manifesting this, manifesting that. But I don't see anyone talking about the fact that in order to manifest, I mean, manifest your desires, we're manifesting all day, every day, but to manifest what you want, you have to be able to stabilize your nervous system, get into your subconscious, rewire those identity patterns that you got when you were a kid to be able to actually align with your desires, right? I mean, because your unconscious mind is way stronger than conscious, so it's always going to win every time. So I always tell people you have to stabilize the nervous system before you start to do that deep work. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we recommend that to everybody. We do that. We use those kinds of nervous system regulation techniques. We teach them in our clinic.
Mhm.
Um, I think it's about it's about the making allowing the mind and the body to be receptive to the experience,
Mhm.
right? Because
Mhm.
if you feel at all if you feel at all afraid or hesitant or worried or etc. about anything you're about to experience, then you're
Mhm.
not going to be fully present with it, and you're not going to be able to just like let go and be immersed in that experience. You're going to be thinking about how worried or afraid you are, and
Yes.
and so I think it's about how we can shift that,
Mhm.
and set up, do things that help to create internally and externally a sense of that reminders that we are actually safe,
Mhm.
because it's
Mhm.
not it's the trick that our minds are playing is that there's something to be afraid of,
Yes.
but there's not. We have enough. The
Mhm.
core survival needs are met, right? We have enough food,
Mhm. Yep.
generally speaking, thank goodness.
Mhm.
Most of us today have enough food, we have enough
Mhm.
air, we have enough water,
Yep.
we have enough sleep. Maybe not quite enough, but we're like at the right. We're on the
Yes.
and we're on the edge, and then uh, human connection, which
Mhm.
thankfully most of us have people around, most
Mhm.
of us,
Mhm.
and
Yes.
those who don't, there are opportunities to find and connect with people. There are communities in different places,
Mhm.
but the point is that and that we need to improve on that end too.
Mhm.
But I think we have a lot of work to do. But I think though, when you think about those core needs for most people,
Mhm.
they're met. We can check all those boxes.
Yes.
So everything else again, like, should not be eliciting a fight or flight response,
Right.
right? That means like it's a 5 to 7 breaths per minute mode all the
Mhm.
rest of that time, that you are not facing one of those active threats or exercising,
Mhm.
basically.
Mhm. Right. So do you think that
And
that
it,
sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just say the one last thing to conclude
Mhm.
that is that's what when we do that, when we practice that kind of stuff, that's what trains us to bounce back quickly. So that's what
Mhm.
resilience is. It's like stress is going to come, it's inevitable, but we can adapt to it and bounce back from it really quickly.
Yes, yes, and I love that you said that because yes. So, do you think that we've become more resilient? Do you think that over the past 100 years, I mean, do you think that our bodies were stuck in this just fight or flight all the time, this whole time, or is it because all the new technology and stimulus and just busyness of life? I mean, has it always been like this, or do you think it's gotten worse?
No, it's definitely worse, without
Yeah.
a doubt.
Okay.
Yeah, look at the rates of mental illness that
Yeah.
increase every year.
Yeah.
Right.
Insane.
It's not stabilizing or going down. It's
Mhm.
getting way worse every
Yeah.
year. Same with
Mhm.
substance use disorders, same
Mhm.
with drug use rates, like all of it is skyrocketing,
Mhm.
right? So like that's a sign that what we're doing
It's
is
not
not
working.
work. Yeah, it's not working. So we
Mhm.
need to so I think there's a real opportunity to like rethink the way that we approach uh, mental illness, from like feeling first,
Yeah.
and like helping people understand how to you know how to feel again, really,
Yeah.
in large part. But I don't know
Mhm.
if that answered your question. Is it?
Yeah, yeah. No, it did. It did. I just I wanted to see your perspective of how things have shifted over the past 150, 20 years even. And yes, I've found the same thing, that things have definitely gotten worse. I just, from your perspective, a doctor's perspective, it's nice to kind of hear that as well. And I'm just not perceiving, because I thought maybe it's because of social media or because there's more access to
It's
different channels.
three major contributing factors.
Uh-huh.
COVID,
Uh-huh.
number one. Social
Yeah.
isolation during COVID really
Mhm.
messed people up,
Yep.
combined with cell phone use,
Mm.
smartphone, not just cell phones, smartphones specifically,
Mhm. Mhm.
combined with social media.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
you have this situation where people are more physically disconnected for years
Yeah.
in some cases with COVID, and they were already not hanging out or interacting face to face probably as much as they should, or getting as many hugs as they should each day,
Uh-huh.
right? And then that becomes social isolation, and then you have, you know, the addictive nature of the smartphone, social media, really, and kind of like the way that those systems work to capture your attention,
Mhm.
that um, you're just throwing tons of stimulus at the body, and getting less recovery from it, like less social play recovery, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that's like, play is a critical part. Play together as community, right? Or as small groups, right? Like people playing together, even
Yeah.
adults, is a critical part of recovery and healing.
Right.
And we don't do that nearly enough.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I kind of almost look at it like stress cups or mad cups or happy cups. I mean, you only get so much space for that until it becomes full, and then you start overflowing onto everything else and everybody else. And that's where I think, I mean, you get murderers and people that break the law, because you're literally losing consciousness because you're so stuffed up with your stress and trauma that you've never looked at or addressed. Then now, boom, you're just reacting. And I get what you say about the community and play, because that's almost like a release of all that pent up, like it's like pouring those cups out, and we're not getting that anymore. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it's
so,
both sides are happening. Like the stress level we call
yeah.
allostatic load is increasing dramatically,
Yes.
and our recovery opportunities are decreasing.
Yes.
Not, maybe not dramatically, but they're decreasing. So
Yeah.
those are going in opposite directions. They need to be going like this,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
that's not good. So we need
Yeah.
to like make changes now, recognize when we're out of balance, and do things to restore the balance, or we will burn out in some capacity. Like it's
Yeah.
just inevitable at that point.
Yeah, yeah, and I went through terrible, terrible burnout last year at the beginning of the year. It was so bad. I felt like everything was flatlines in my life, like no passion, no drive, no want to get out of bed, just bleh. And that happens like to so many of us, and then we normalize it. And that's the problem. It's normalized now. Okay, so feeling like crap, this is just normal. So I just have to live like this. I just have to pull myself out of bed. No, that's not the case. There are so many different things that you can do to help yourself to feel better. And I just wish that more people felt better on the planet, because then we would not have things like war and, famine and crazy things that don't necessarily need to be happening. Um, so let me ask
Agreed.
you. So we're not taught about trauma. We're not taught how to regulate our emotions or our nervous systems ever. So we don't know how to do these things. What is your take on childhood trauma? Because what I feel and what I've experienced and what I've, lived through is that every child has some sort of trauma, right? It's not big or small. It's like the perceived threat inside of the nervous system. So every child has this, and yet we're not taught how to recover that or to process that fully within our system. So it's stuck in our bodies, which turns into in my belief system, physical ailments later in life. So what is your take on childhood trauma and how that affects the person, the biological being, for the rest of their life?
There's definitely strong correlation, and
Mhm.
I would say the and it, I would add on mental illness as well, right? We see
Mhm.
people who have had a lot of childhood trauma also developing mental illness.
Yes.
But I think what's so yes, to your point, we see that all the time. The link between childhood trauma and physical illness is still not fully proven, but we see it all the time, right? So I think, what's interesting is that it highlights the mind-body connection and how you can have these emotionally highly charged and challenging experiences as children that all of us have had. I don't know anyone who hasn't had some hardship where they weren't supported as kids. And that like those experiences change the way that we see ourselves, even just a little bit. And it has an impact on our nervous system, where part of us, there's a sense of like the core. It's like, think about it like a bone fracture, but the bone that was fractured is self-trust. Because we are not sure we can keep ourselves safe if we could let that happen to us. Right.
Yes.
And so everything that we do, once you understand that you're repairing a trauma is like repairing a broken bone, then everything we do is about helping create the safe environment for that wound to heal properly. Right. And giving people the opportunity to actually learn the techniques and starting with feeling safe, and that it's not your fault, and you did the best you could, and that you like, how could you know that you were just a kid, right? Like, how can you know what the right decision is all the time? We make mistakes as adults all the time, right? We just don't take it as personally because we're more like solidly formed as humans. So it's but that's these kinds of things happen to everyone. So it's about how do we know that there's an impact on the nervous system. We know the nervous system remembers that fear, and then you have to retrain that fear by doing safety techniques. And psychedelic assisted therapy is so interesting because it seems to accelerate the healing process for people with severe mental illness, and sometimes help people even with physical illness in certain cases. And it's doing so in the therapy trials by amplifying the safety of the therapeutic environment, where a person can feel safe enough to go back and literally remake meaning around these past traumatic events that have happened to them from the perspective of safety rather than fear. And then that new memory stores and updates. And so that's, I mean, I think that's like where everything is going is about, that kind of neuroscience based approach to trauma.
Yes, let's talk about it. I love it. So I did a high dose psilocybin. Now it's had to be, I think, 10 years ago at this point. And that completely changed my entire existence. I wanted to re-experience my birth because I had all these abandonment issues. And my parents, I was adopted, but my parents, they never abandoned me. So I was wanting to re-experience and see what happened to me when I was a baby, because I was like, something's not normal here because my response is way bigger than, So I went in and re-experienced my birth again, and it was incredible. It was like I literally re-experienced it as a little baby coming out the womb, and I remember every single emotion. Like, it was so emotional. And
Wow.
I look at that now like, well, when we're babies, we don't have any shields up to protect us from the outside world. We're not, masking up yet. So it's like everything hits you direct. And I was like, oh my God, this is the biggest heartbreak because I never got to see her. She never held me. And that was like an immediate boom. I mean, my nervous system and brain encoded that before I even had words to speak, like abandonment, like, you're not worthy, you're going to be abandoned. So it took years to, all this rewiring. But the power of psychedelics, I mean, when used correctly, it was the most healing thing I've ever done.
That's amazing that you had such a powerful experience. I think, you just, what you described is really the goal, right? Is to go in with an intention.
Yeah.
And that's like the prep work we do with people, is try to like help people understand what is your actual goal, right? Like you knew your goal was to like relive this particular experience.
Mhm.
And so that's why it had such a powerful impact for you,
Yeah.
because you had spent a lot of time thinking about it, you had put a lot of attention to it,
Yeah.
and you had like a very honed intention for that experience, and you went in and
Yeah.
you got exactly what you're looking for, and
Yeah.
then, etc. and more, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
More than you
For
could more than you could imagine probably would come from it.
Yes, yes. Now, let me ask you, there's so many different psychedelics. I mean, I've experimented with a couple of them. What are your thoughts on ketamine? Ketamine is becoming very popular these days. What are your thoughts on ketamine?
Ketamine is a fantastic medicine
Mhm.
for treating depression and
Mhm.
PTSD.
Mhm. Mhm.
And we use it for both in our clinic and with many colleagues safely with therapy. And we
Mhm.
see great outcomes with like 6 doses over the course of, usually like 12 to 20 weeks. We see people having like over 90% remission rates from
Wow.
depression and PTSD,
Uh-huh.
and that are sustainable. And
Uh-huh.
of course, it requires like the integration practices, but of course, you're making a lifestyle, life approach change, right?
Yeah.
And so it's going to require like a little bit of practice, like you were saying earlier. But people
Uh-huh.
have fantastic outcomes with ketamine. It just has to be used properly. But can
Right.
I ask you about a question about your MDMA experience?
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
sorry, your psilocybin experience that you
Uh-huh.
talked about.
Yeah.
How would you rate that experience in terms of meaningfulness, from like most meaningful to like least meaningful of your life?
That was like the most meaningful experience of my life. Yeah.
Wow.
It was like, well, you know what I've noticed is when you respect the medicine and when you use it in the correct way, you're not just at a party, right? You have like super intention, you do it right, you do it very respectfully, energetically, and everything. I mean, it's the most profound experience you'll ever have with any of these, psychedelics, if you do it right,
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it was more real than me and you talking right now.
Yeah, yeah, it's incredible. And I think it's important for people to hear that, because
Mm,
that is also what people report in the psilocybin clinical trials,
mhm.
and and at Hopkins, and that is incredible,
Yeah,
right? That you could take a medicine that is easily, you didn't even hesitate, right? Like easily
yeah.
the most meaningful experience of your life.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
that is, I
Just
mean,
give me chills.
that's what we're lacking,
Yeah,
right? That's the antidote to what we're, to our like societal illness, right? Like we are living in a world where we've like lost meaning, right? People are constantly searching for it, but it's already there,
yeah.
right? It's
Within us.
literally growing out of the ground, being like,
Yeah, it's wild. I really feel like everybody should experience something like this in their lifetime, but what I do try to tell people is, I know a guy that's done ayahuasca like 90 times. I'm like, dude, it's obviously not working for you. You might want to try something different? I mean, it's like a
yeah,
lot of people are just there, it's not about the medicine. It's about the integration after the medicine, right? It's about the
yeah,
message that you're going to integrate into your life, right?
right.
I mean, a lot of people think they're shamans these days, walking around, popping some psilocybin every weekend. I'm like, dude, that's not the
Yeah,
game here.
not the same. And I think to that point, what's really interesting is that in the clinical trials, when people, specifically, I think this data came from the MAPS MDMA trials, but they asked people, they had I don't know, like 20% of the people in the trial ish had taken MDMA before recreationally,
Uh-huh.
before being in the study.
Yeah.
And like almost, uh, like it was very common amongst those people that when they did the MDMA experience with MAPS, with the 3 doses and the 12 weeks of therapy,
Yeah.
the 42 hours of therapy over 12 weeks, they did not even know it was the same. Like most of them thought it was not, it was a different drug, that they had for
Yeah.
sure been given a different drug.
Uh-huh.
Just, and a lot of that, almost all of that is like the set and setting,
Right.
right? But it's the same. It's just 100, almost 100, like 100% pure,
Uh-huh.
and it is administered in an environment where you're safe. You're
Yeah.
you're clearly safe, voluntarily consenting to be there, and you know you're going to be taken care of no matter what happens to you.
Yes. Yes.
Non-judgmentally, you will be taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
And that is an incredible like foundation for healing to be built on top of.
Right. Right. Safety is number one. I really feel like. So what happens then?
Shout
What do
out
you
to shout out to Maslow.
Yes. Right. Right. So, you know what? I actually used to take a lot of ecstasy back in the day. Like I used to abuse it. And I've done therapeutic MDMA actually before, and it was a way different experience. Why do you think, okay, why do you think people get so much benefit from psychedelics? Do you think it's the experience? And now, so I guess my nervous system going through the mushrooms, when I took the mushrooms, I got to finish that stress response, like of me being a baby. So I got to complete, right? So it's like it took that load off of me. But then also, I know BDNF and all this, stuff like switches the way that you think and act. So is it more the integration? Is it the experience? Is it tied, both together? I think so. But I mean, how do people really experience the benefit? Like,
I mean, it's uh, if you think about it from like a neuroplasticity and learning perspective,
yeah.
we're in temporarily increasing the ability of our brains to learn
Mm-hmm.
when we're in when we with those medicines and
Mm-hmm.
with psychedelic states in general that
Mm-hmm.
are not drug induced. You can meditate your way into a psychedelic state. There's tons of different ways to get there that don't require drugs.
Mm-hmm.
But specifically, um, many of the psychedelics are inducing they're pharmacologically inducing this altered state that is also amplifying neuroplasticity,
Mm-hmm.
and in a lot of cases the growth of new neurons and the connections that are formed between new neurons or between existing neurons. And that's really incredible because I came from the stem cell research world originally, and
Uh-huh.
we were always in search of new things to increase the like neuronal cell division and the making of new neurons, and that's like the holy grail. And then of
Uh-huh.
course, like almost all psychedelic medicines that are, especially the plants that have plant medicines, like the ayahuasca component, some of the key ayahuasca components and psilocybin ketamine have been studied and shown to increase brain growth basically. And
Yes.
the question is, if you're going to increase brain growth,
Uh-huh.
do you want to increase brain growth for anything, or do you want to increase brain
Right.
growth in a direction that is useful to you,
Right.
right, and not destructive? Or
Right.
so the point is that the psychedelic is agnostic to what you
Mhm.
choose to do with it. It's just a medicine or a drug, a plant. And it's our intention
Yeah.
that, and to curate and create an outcome that we want to get from it, like what you did with your experience,
Mm-hmm.
that is easily like the 80 to 90% of the direction of the experience.
Yeah.
And you can just as easily train yourself to do things that are not good for you better with
Right.
them,
Yeah.
that you can, as you can, to train yourself to do things that are better for you.
Right.
But if you set it up correctly, then the medicine can, I think in one of its most powerful examples that we have a lot of data on, is that it amplifies activity in the amygdala, the fear center of the brain, that is receiving, especially with MDMA, that's receiving information about threat and safety,
Mm-hmm.
and it accelerates safety relearning, and
Mm.
which is in animal studies is called like fear extinction.
Wow.
So that is the exact same thing that we strive to do in our general psychotherapy
Uh-huh.
approaches, which is really funny. But the medicine just accelerates it. On
Right.
its own, you can achieve it, but it requires a lot of work and attention to detail.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so having a therapist or a guide is really, really helpful. And I think in some cases, depending on what your intention is,
Mm-hmm.
makes a world of difference to have
Yeah.
somebody there, like caring for you during the experience.
Right, absolutely. So, is it you get this, like, huge rush of BDNF when you're in those states? Or I know with ketamine,
No,
it's
it's
like
like
a
a
huge
it's
rush and then
no, these
taper.
are like bursts. It's like a burst
Gotcha. Okay.
of neurotransmitter
Uh-huh.
at in certain in like the amygdala, basically,
Mhm.
like
Gotcha.
MDMA as one example. So
Mhm.
BDNF is just for those who don't know is a neurotransmitter that is involved in like in learning
Mhm.
and neuronal functioning and like growth of neurons together.
Mhm.
And um, so you get like a burst of it from the synapse and those or sorry in the neurons, I'm sorry,
Mhm.
of BDNF, and the neurons grow to form new connections with each other.
Mhm. Mhm.
So a lot of that it was Eric Kandel's work that discussed fear and learning. And I'm sorry, I made a mistake. It's not a neurotransmitter, but BDNF is a neurochemical
Mhm.
neuromodulator that within the neurons helps to accelerate the connections between new neurons when we learn new things. So you
Mhm.
want more of it when you're trying to learn something,
Mhm.
right? It's
Mhm.
helpful. And it lasts for days or weeks afterwards, depending on the drug, the
Uh-huh.
medicine that you're taking. But really, it's ketamine is like 3 days, and I think we're not 100% sure how long that period is. It's called the critical period,
Uh-huh.
which is that time after a psychedelic state where your brain is in a heightened ability to learn.
Mhm, mhm. Gotcha. So if someone was to use this therapeutically, they would do it with a therapist or a guide and really have goals along the way to get the best benefit. I want people to be educated about this because so many people are just out here popping this, like taking a bunch of shrooms and doing the ayahuasca 80 times. I'm like, guys, what are we doing this for? What is the intent? What are you trying to get out of it? Because through my experience with experimenting with several different psychedelics, I mean, I've changed my life completely with these, using this very, very intentionally. So it's just respect the medicine. That's the name of the game. Respect the medicine, people. Yes.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what is the craziest thing that you've experienced with a client or someone that you worked with, like in using either this medicine or just something that you've just seen that was like, whoa, how did that happen?
I mean, one of my favorite stories is I had a woman who was she was in her 60s. She was a cult survivor, um, and had escaped, um, or left from this cult that she was raised in from birth,
Hmm.
and she didn't know anything of the outside world, and was basically told that the outside world is like cruel and dark and that she should never go there. And then her and her husband left,
Uh-huh.
and they started a new life together, not knowing anything, right? So I
Uh-huh.
don't know if it's hard for people to imagine that when you're brought up in that way, you are not given a standard education.
Uh-huh.
You're not taught about like food necessarily the same way that everybody else is, or nutrition, or how to take care of yourself, or
Right.
given the same like rights is in certain that, or taught that humans are deserving of the same things.
Uh-huh.
It's a totally different world. And um so she notably had a lot of trauma from those experiences, and from being like completely excommunicated, cut off from everyone when she
Mhm.
left. And it was very, very hard, challenging time. And this is extremely common amongst folks who have left cults.
Mhm.
um, and so she had one ketamine experience with us. And she had PTSD. She was very uh, had been high functioning, but then was really struggling, and
Mhm.
especially during early COVID. And she had a one ketamine experience with us. We had a plan to do a series, but she had one experience with us, and um, sat up and afterwards didn't really talk much during it, but sat up afterwards and said, she exclaimed, she was like, "This is how they did it. This is how the Beatles did it," and wrote all that music. was like, that is so funny. Like, she wasn't wrong. They were taking drugs throughout a lot of their time,
Uh-huh.
psychedelics. So funny. That was like first thing that she said.
I love it. That's hilarious. This is how they did it. Wow. Something to think about. I love it.
But
It's
she was like, she basically, I think she had like one more session after that, and she was
Mhm.
like all good. Like
Wow.
she's, was able to work and go back to her regular life, like all set.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what mushrooms did for me because it made me realize, well, mushrooms took away my fear of death because it was like oh, I'm here. I remember I was texting someone because you can't see, so I was from memory, my thumbs were texting one of my friends, and I was like, "Yo, if I were to die right now, I'd just be here." I was like, "I'd be right here, like I could just die." Like it was so profound to me because literally, I mean it really takes you from this body and brings you back to what we really are, which is spirit energy. We are not these skin suits. I mean, it's like, guys, we got to get back to our core. We are all the same, all of us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we have much more, infinitely more in common than we do different.
Yes, yes. And that's what I just wish people would just commune and just let's support each other instead of disliking each other for our different belief systems. Like everyone is going to have a different belief system. Why can't we just accept each other for our differences instead of fighting each other for our differences? It's like,
Well, I
it's
think
just,
that it goes back to like what we were talking about earlier, right? Which is
Mhm.
that when we are afraid, we misjudge threat. We
Yeah.
interpret things that are not threatening as threatening, like
Hmm.
differences,
Hmm.
newness,
Hmm.
uncertainty. If you're different than me, then you might act differently than me, then there's uncertainty associated with you.
Right.
So that triggers the threat response system, and it keeps us from like, wanting to overcome that discomfort to be together, right?
Right.
So it's there's this the the healing that happens when we are together naturally and like communing as human beings and are
Yeah.
safe in that
Yeah.
environment is like very significant. But we have to, like, again, that's where like play happens, right? And
Right.
so we don't do enough of that. And kind of that's the opportunity, another opportunity to like extinguish fear of each other, right?
Yeah.
It's just by going out and doing it. We have to do it.
Yeah.
And I think it's a lot of it is like acknowledging a choice that you can actually train your brain to do different things,
Yeah.
right? Like, I think a lot of people think like, oh, like this is it, this is me forever.
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
you've just stagnated yourself by like
Right.
taking a giant box and putting it over your head, and you're like, I'm going to live in here now
Yeah.
with like two eye holes,
Right.
right? So like,
Right.
like that is not at all the way things actually are. Like, we have in
Mm-mm.
science has proven above and beyond that like we have the ability to train ourselves in all different sorts of ways to do all different things,
Yeah.
most of which we probably have no idea we were capable of doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what's fantastic about us. I mean, we are literally magical. I always tell people I am a magical fairy, and my life is just full of magical fairy dust, just sprinkling around. And what magic is going to happen for me today? Because
It's
not
good. I love
only, I mean, seriously, that's what our perspective should be. But yet, we like you said, we put this box over our head with the two eye holes, and we don't choose to see outside of that. When y'all like you can train your brain, your perception, your observance of this reality to be so magical that I mean it's a literal like I try to tie in spirituality and like the hard wiring of our brains, like the reticular activating system and like having our perceptions of our reality be so positive that that's what we're collapsing into this third dimension instead of like victim mindset where oh well my life is like this because of that, and it's like your power is just being stolen away every time you sink into that victim mentality. You are the
Right.
creator of your reality.
Yeah, exactly. Like, our power is our choice.
Yeah.
And if we give our choice away, then we've just given away our power.
Yes.
Right. So we like just taking the time to acknowledge that and exercise choice by, for instance, by like choosing to take a deep breath right now, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
that is the kind of thing that starts to remind us that we are what we're in control of, and that we're in control of a lot more than we think we are.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's it's, and I think and the power that we have is really quite incredible. We just need to remind ourselves that we don't know what that is. Like the meaning in a lot of ways I joke around, because I think, the it's so funny that we spend as a civilization so much time trying to discover the meaning of life,
Uh-huh.
when the meaning of life really seems to be just to like discover life and what
Yeah.
we're capable of in this life. Like
Right.
that's the whole point, is to just like be in it and
Yeah.
discover what it is, what's going
Yeah.
to happen, right?
Right.
And then the discovery just gets stripped away by fear,
Uh-huh.
right? Like because we don't feel safe, we don't feel safe enough to venture outward and discover. And
Right.
I think so that's why, again, I always come back to it. It's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. This is not new. This goes back to like the 50s, and then long before that to Hippocrates thousands of years ago. Safety is critical for everything else to be built on. All healing, all growth, all discovery, all community, everything is founded in a sense of real safety.
Uh-huh.
And so we really, as individuals, really is where it starts, is reminding and doing the things to remind ourselves that we are safe. And then we get this beautiful side effect reward that happens, that differences between that you notice with other people, when you realize that we have infinitely, and when I say infinitely, I mean it, like
Yeah.
infinitely more in common than we do different. We just spend all
Uh-huh.
our time thinking about the differences, so it seems like they're more than they are.
Uh-huh.
But we have infinitely more in common than we do different. So
Uh-huh.
this is a hack that people can use. You can remember that if you remind yourself of that
Uh-huh.
often, then you start to notice people's differences as enriching to your life,
Mm.
right? Like, what does this person who's different, what can they teach me about the world from their perspective? That's surely different than my perspective in a lot of
Yeah.
ways, right? And then you start to gain knowledge and wisdom through interaction with somebody who can share their food and their culture and their traditions, and
Yeah.
their way of seeing the world with us,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So then we get smarter and stronger as individuals and as a community. So
Yeah.
that safety is like fundamentally critical.
Uh-huh.
Like that is essential foundation, again, for like all the stuff to grow. It's like this, it's like the soil, right?
Yeah.
Everything grows from like a well-nourished soil, and the
Yes.
safety nourishment is not really there right now.
Right, right. But I love that reframe. That reframe is phenomenal. I'm going to use that because, man, I notice how much people just like hate each other about our differences. I'm like, guys, we're all different though. Like we can't hate everybody. Let's just love each other instead. So, Dr. Rabin, you have been writing a book for 10 years, you said. So, tell me about this book. And I know you're so excited that you're getting ready to release it, right? I mean, 10 years.
Yes.
Woo!
Yeah, it's been a long time. I am very excited to share it with the world.
Yay.
It's called A Simple Guide to Being Alive.
Uh-huh.
And it is really in large part about a lot of what we talked about today,
Mhm.
and how, because I think, I went through, I don't know, like 12, like 16 years of school and academic training after, or including college.
Uh-huh.
So after high school, I went through like 16 years of training to be able
Sheesh.
to practice medicine and
Uh-huh.
do research and do what I do.
Yes.
And I still, when I left, when I finally graduated and finished, and I left and went into the real world as a doctor, I
Uh-huh.
started to realize all these things that I was never taught that were actually really important. And
Uh-huh.
like
Yeah.
the safety thing,
Yeah.
right? Many of the things we were talking about. And the level of importance that's placed on those things was totally misguided when we were
Uh-huh.
being taught it.
Uh-huh.
So as I started to learn these things from real lived experience, I was like, wow, like I we need a guide. We need a
Yeah.
guide, right?
Yeah.
Like people need a guide that says this is what we like, the basics, the basic shit that we need to are supposed to be taught to be human successfully,
Yes.
right? That's it.
Uh-huh.
It's just like it's like the instruction manual that
Mhm.
we at many times of our lives wish we had, and that
Yeah.
and so that's the book. And I think I hope people really enjoy it, I think they will. It's going to be it's a fun one.
Well, I need one like immediately. As soon as it comes out, I need that because I wish I had a guide to how to be a human walking on this planet.
Yeah, no, I mean, I still wish I had a guide. Like, it's funny because all of these things that I'm doing that I'm writing about that are things I've done myself and things that I've done with my worked on with my patients that I've learned over the years. I've been successful and helpful, and things I've learned from like Eastern and tribal traditions that I've learned about and studied, but haven't really fully practiced myself because I've been too busy and tired and like not structured it like into my. So as I'm doing it, it's like, wow, like these are all these things that are just so important, and I learned so much from going through the process. And I mean, I think like the idea of what if we all understood how easy it was, right? Like that's what I think is really the fun part, and the absurdity is like if we all knew how simple and easy it was to actually just live a good, happy, healthy life. Like we're talking like 5 minutes a day, maybe, right?
Yeah.
5 minutes a day of stuff to do,
Yeah.
right? That's it.
Yeah.
And if people knew that it was that easy, I think like the world, like you said earlier, right? It would just be, people would be a little more calm, a little more settled, even clear thinking, clear headed, and just on the same page. And the world would be so much of a better place.
Yes. And you know what? It's so crazy because that's what I tell people. 5 minutes a day. Everybody has 5 minutes. I'm not saying go take a vacation and you need to take 5 days off to process. No, 5 minutes a day. And the whole world can change. I'm so glad that you said that too, because I say it all the time. All the time. Well, Dr. Rabin, it has been an absolute pleasure talking to you today. I love hearing your perspective on so many things. And, it's just, like I said, I've been following your work for such a long time. So I appreciate that, you're out here doing it and you wrote a book. Thank you. I will be definitely getting that book. We'll link it in the description. Where can people find you, Dr. Rabin?
You can find me on socials, on Instagram and Twitter, are probably the best place to find me. Now TikTok as well, if you want to check out some of my educational content. And if you want to find my primary website, it has all the stuff about me. It's drdave.io, and that's my clinical practice as well. And then Apollo is apolloneuro.com, or you can go to wearablehugs.com if you can't remember the first one.
Awesome.
So yeah.
So good. Awesome. Well, all of those links will be in the description, guys. And again, thank you so much for being here with me today and for the work that you're doing. I mean, your device, it changed my life. It really did. Like, it helped me to be able to be resilient while traveling and have all the energy in the world and not be jet lagged and tired. And
same. Yeah. I'm so glad to hear that you're enjoying it as much as we are.
Yes. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you, Dr. David Rabin. Thank you so much. And guys, this was another episode of Unlimited with Elisabeth Carson and Dr. Rabin. Thank you. Until next time. Peace.
Thank you.
This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. The views expressed are those of the hosts and guests and don't necessarily reflect those of the producers or affiliates. We do not guarantee the accuracy of the content. Please verify information and seek professional advice when needed. By listening, you agree not to hold us liable for any actions taken based on this content. Thank you for joining us on this journey. We hope you enjoy the episodes ahead. Love unlimited, feel unlimited.